Well, hello and welcome to the setup of my HobbyKing Bixler plane. Well, not the setup, but the modifications and upgrades I did, and hopefully it can be used to inspire some of you out there to make it yourself or make some even better upgrades. So, here we go. One of the first things you might notice on my plane, as one of the upgrades or the modifications I did, is I modified the motor mount. And as you can see, the motor is not in here as it would come stock. And simply that's because I thought I couldn't make the motor fit in there quite nicely. And the motor is another upgrade, which is the Turnigy D2826 200 kV motor, and it is very powerful and a very recommendable upgrade to the standard or the stock motor that came with the HobbyKing Bixler plane. And to make the motor cool down while flying, I didn't think this slit was enough, so I just cut a slightly small and thin piece of wood out, a strong piece of wood though, and I simply mounted the motor on that thin piece of wood with some bolts and some nuts and some Loctites to those nuts, and then I pressed the bolts that was around this length or something like that. I think it was 16mm. I pressed those into the foam because it couldn't be fit inside the foam. So these two is pressed right in the foam here, and these two down here I think is just pressing against the foam. And then I used the hot glue gun to fill out these holes, and I used a lot of hot glue to be sure and be safe that it was mounted safely. And I ain't using the stock prop. I'm using the Tower Pro. No, what is it? It's a 6x4E prop, and that is a very great upgrade because the stock propeller was very flimsy and very easy to break. Well, not easy to break, but it didn't produce as much power because it could just bend easily. So this one is a very recommendable upgrade too, and it was around just over $1, so a very recommendable upgrade. And I lost my nut to tighten the propeller down. Just flew away, don't know why, so I just used two nuts to secure it in place, and this shouldn't go anywhere. Yes, and another modification or upgrade I did to my HobbyKing Bixler plane was these clevises. Well, no, not clevises, that's the other thing, but control horns. Just as I took the stock one out of the bag, it broke right in my hand, so I thought, oh, that wouldn't be good in the air. So I bought these control horns, and I will put the link to them in the description, and yes, in the description. I also extended the motor wires to go down here and into the fuselage, and I've got 4 of these control horns, one for each control surface. And if you just turn it over here, I used the Hextronic 900 servos, the 9-gram servos from Hextronic, and it's a very strong servo. It handles this plane without a problem. So a very strong servo for this plane. Another thing is the clevises. I just put a 5mm heat shrink on those, and I just took the heat gun to tighten it up, so these won't go anywhere. And if you look inside, just like that, I glued these magnets on again with some hot glue. I could just peel them off. I don't know if that's just my plane or it's everyone's plane. But I cut out here, this slit here. It wasn't supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like that. But I couldn't get the wires down that small one. So I just cut out a slit right there so the wires could come right down. I don't know if you can see that. And I am using the Zippy Flight Max 2200 milliamp 25C battery, I think it is, and it fits nicely in there, and I get around 45 to 50 minutes of flight time with this battery, so it's a very recommendable battery. And remove those washers in there. I don't know why they put them there, but it's not very good. Remove them if you can. Just pour some hot water down in there the moment you get the plane, and remove the electronics if you can, if there's electronics installed. I bought mine as a kit, so the fuselage was in 2 halves, so I just put some hot water in the nose of one of the halves of the fuselage. I'm using the Birdie 50 amp EC because this motor draws a little bit more than the stock motor, and this was cheaper and in stock compared to the 40 amp ESCs you could get. And I'm using this plane with a high-tech Eclipse 7 Pro, and in here I've got the high-tech Optima 7, which is a full range receiver with telemetry. I'm not using telemetry right now, but it is possible. And if you flip the plane around, you can see another upgrade or modification I did was to just put some tape, just some basic invisible packing tape on the bottom here, so the bottom of the HobbyKing Bixler plane will not be damaged as I land or crash. But I haven't crashed yet, just a little nosedive, but it's holding up still. And I put some tape on these too, to be sure they hold in place. And the wings, I used some Velcro to hold the wings together, and I used some Velcro on both sides. But I also, if we just place the camera there and pull these wings off. Like that, you can see here too. I've also installed 3 magnets on each wing, so it'll hold that together too. So I'm sure these won't come off. And the carbon fiber spar, I've bought a new one because the old one was very thin, and to be honest, I dropped it on the floor and it broke. So I recommend very much recommend the carbon fiber spar upgrade.